Roman Reigns attempts to call Paul Heyman last night on SmackDown, but the number is no longer in service for his former wise man. Bronson Reed joins up with the new Bloodline and will be joining the team in War Games against the original incarnation of the faction. Former TNA Wrestling President Scott D'Amore recently visited the WWE Performance Center. We'll let you know all the details on that. Plus, Kevin Owens opens after being banned once again from SmackDown this week. DIY seemingly explode last night on SmackDown. Could the Street Profits be set for a split too? Shinsuke Nakamura makes his return to WWE programming, attacking United States champion LA Knight. Details on how the recent NXT show at the former ECW arena came to be. Nia Jax retains the Women's Championship. Bayley advances to possibly crown a new Women's United States champion at Saturday night's main event. An update on the health of former WCW star Conan. Becky Lynch reportedly could be on her way back to WWE, and the latest class of the WWE Performance Center recruits has been revealed. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with Roman Reigns not having a wise man right now in WWE, and an update on when we could see Paul Heyman return to WWE television. Now, to close last night's SmackDown, there was a major development on the Bloodline story through a revelation about Paul Heyman. Now, the show saw a showdown between the original Bloodline, that being Roman Reigns, Jimmy and Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn, against the new Bloodline, that being Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu, with a brand new element added to the mix. Bronson Reed aligning with Sikoa and the new Bloodline that we'll talk about in just a second. Now, at the end of that segment, Jey Uso could be heard insisting to Roman Reigns that he should make the call, and the close to SmackDown saw Reigns back in his private locker room. Shown picking his phone up, Reigns paused and then said out loud, "Call the wise man," clearly trying to contact Paul Heyman. However, Reigns was greeted by a recorded message saying, quote, "The number you have reached is not in service." Now, Paul Heyman was last seen on WWE television being taken out by Solo Sikoa's Bloodline and driven through the commentary table after having his phone broken. We'll let you know any more details on when we could expect to see Heyman back on WWE TV. Of course, he's always been backstage when Roman Reigns has been at television, but he hasn't been on TV since we saw him taken out by Sikoa's new faction. Now, as I mentioned, Big Bronson Reed is the latest member of the new Bloodline, at least for Survivor Series War Games anyway. Bronson Reed made his presence known on SmackDown, uniting with the new Bloodline and delivering a vicious tsunami to Roman Reigns in the middle of the ring. After Reigns, the Usos and Sami Zayn interrupted a Solo Sikoa promo before Sikoa could get the crowd to acknowledge him, the original Bloodline came out and started a brawl. The group had just been seen backstage in Reigns' dressing room discussing the fact they didn't have a fifth member for their War Games match. Reigns hit a spear on Sikoa, saving Sami Zayn from a Samoan spike. Zayn went over the top rope to take out the rest of the new Bloodline, leaving Reigns in the ring to stare down Jacob Fatu. While they were sizing each other up, Reed took out Reigns from behind. Reed then hit his tsunami on Jimmy Uso, and Reigns battled back, hitting 3 Superman punches before getting taken out with a Samoan spike of his own. Reed then followed it up with a tsunami onto the original tribal chief, which brought out security. This, as I mentioned, led to Jey Uso imploring Reigns to make the call, but the call he could not make to Paul Heyman. Now, this is a really interesting story here about Scott D'Amore visiting the WWE Performance Center this week. Now, since 2013, the WWE Performance Center has operated as a training facility for the talents of WWE, as well as a destination for hopefuls to partake in tryouts, as well. You have people coming back from injury, do physicals there, etc., etc. Now, since late 2020, it's also resided as the home of WWE NXT. Recently, though, an intriguing name was reportedly spotted at the PC. According to Fightful Select, former TNA Wrestling President Scott D'Amore paid a visit to the WWE Performance Center on Friday, November 8th, where he was given a tour of its facilities. Now, the outlet indicates that D'Amore was just there to visit, with some informal conversations also taking place. As of now, there is no word on what the content of those discussions actually was. In February 2024, of course, TNA Wrestling announced that D'Amore had been terminated from his position, with Anthony Sassone of Anthem Sports and Entertainment, TNA's parent company, taking over as the new president of Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. Since departing TNA, D'Amore has revived Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. So far, the independent promotion has held a singular 2-night event titled Forged in Excellence, with talent stemming from All Elite Wrestling, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, as well as the Indies. Now, D'Amore was previously revealed to be an integral part in forging the current partnership between WWE and TNA, which began with the surprise 2024 Women's Royal Rumble entry of former TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordynne Grace. Since then, Grace and several other TNA talents have appeared on NXT programming. A number of NXT stars have also made their way over to the TNA territory. As for what this could mean, if we get any more details, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, Kevin Owens has opened up and once again being banned from this week's SmackDown. After shelving Randy Orton for an indefinite amount of time just a week ago, Kevin Owens was barred from Friday's episode of SmackDown. Owens posted a heated promo on social media in response and called out the injustice done to him, past and previous, by Nick Aldis, Triple H, Randy Orton, and the golden boy of WWE, that being the undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes. Here's what Kevin Owens had to say.
It's getting harder and harder to do my job because I keep suffering consequences for things that are absolutely not my fault. I showed up to the arena in Milwaukee earlier and I was turned away. I was told that I'm not welcome there and that I had to leave because of what I did to Randy Orton last week. But what I did to Randy Orton last week was I did my job. See, because I made it clear before Crown Jewel that I didn't want to fight Randy Orton. I didn't want to hurt Randy Orton. And then Randy went to WWE officials. He went to Triple H himself and demanded a match with me. And he got what he wanted. I showed up at Crown Jewel like I was asked and did my job. I did exactly what they knew was going to happen. I did precisely what Triple H tried to warn Randy Orton of.
Now, DIY, is this the end for the former tag team champions? Well, WWE Tag Team Championship match between the Motor City Machine Guns and the Street Profits during SmackDown ended in a disqualification following outside interference. The Guns and the Profits engaged in a fast-paced back-and-forth bout, weaving around the ring and flying across ringside before the challenging team took advantage and looked to be picking up steam. As Montez Ford climbed the ropes to finish things off, DIY's Tommaso Ciampa appeared on the apron to throw him off, causing the referee to rule a disqualification in favour of the Profits. Ciampa would further unleash upon Angelo Dawkins for getting into it with the champions, only for his partner Johnny Gargano to break them up in an attempt to keep the peace. As Gargano sought to calm his partner down, fans were reminded of their violent history as Ciampa lashed out and pushed his partner to the ground, walking out while ranting to himself as Gargano frantically chased after. Back in the ring, Dawkins pushed past the Guns alongside a dejected Ford, clearly unhappy with the outcome of their title challenge. Of course, Ciampa and Gargano have seen their partnership broken and re-established over their WWE tenure, capped off with the NXT saga at the end of the last decade, reformed to capture the WWE Tag Team Championship earlier this year. However, their reign wasn't very long. So are we seeing the beginning of the end once again for DIY? Shinsuke Nakamura, he made a surprise return last night on SmackDown, months after losing to him at a house show in Cardiff, Wales. Shinsuke Nakamura returned to SmackDown to get revenge on United States champion LA Knight, who was celebrating a victory over Legado del Fantasma's Berto when he was taken out by his former opponent. No longer in his signature red gear, Nakamura donned a long brown duster, a black leather shirt, and black pants, his hair hanging in front of a mostly covered red face paint shaped like diamonds above and below his eyes. Nakamura admired his work before sauntering from the ring. Of course, Nakamura hasn't wrestled a televised match since losing to Sheamus on the April 22nd edition of Raw. Last month, though, Pro Wrestling Noah announced that the Japanese legend would be returning on New Year's Day. A video of Nakamura aired during their show where he noted it had been a while since his last appearance. His opponent has yet to be announced. Nakamura defeated the Great Muta on Noah's New Year's Day show during the Legend's retirement tour back in 2023. Now, a bit of an update here when it comes to the recent NXT broadcast at the former ECW arena. Of course, back in October, NXT made a huge announcement. The next broadcast destination would be the 2300 Arena, formerly known to many as the ECW Arena. On November 6th, the developmental brand put together a big episode that saw ECW legends the Dudley Boys, Little Guido, Rhino, Francine, Dawn Marie, and Rob Van Dam return to their old stomping grounds and either face up or team with the future of the industry. Credit is undoubtedly due due to whoever put the themed episode together. But who was the organizer behind it? Well, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, no one has taken credit for or been addressed as the guiding force of the production. Reports indicate that such a show was planned for a while, but was initially not earmarked for November 6th, since NXT moved their scheduled show to Wednesday after the 2024 US presidential election. The promotion decided to execute the ECW-themed card when it became apparent they would be going head-to-head with AEW Dynamite on the same day and in the same time slot. And now this month marked the second recent time that NXT and AEW went head-to-head. NXT won the night with viewership, up 5% from their previous episode at 619,000, whereas Dynamite, which hosts its flagship show every Wednesday, averaged only 523,000 total viewers. The good news is that WWE may be reportedly planning to host an annual ECW-themed shows in the future, but whether or not they'll be holding them at the ECW arena every time remains to be seen. Now, Nia Jax, she is still the WWE Women's Champion. She retained her championship on SmackDown, in part thanks to interference on her behalf over Naomi. Naomi pinned Jax, of course, last month after interference from Women's World Champion Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez before Crown Jewel. Jax started off the match hot, immediately getting her opponent in the corner and overpowering her. Naomi hit a rear view for a near fall on Jax, but the champion followed it up with a pop-up Samoan drop and set Naomi up for the Annihilator, but Naomi knocked her off to the outside, then took her out from the top rope. The broadcast cut to black, and Morgan and Rodriguez were seen taking out Women's Tag Team Champions Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Naomi got back in the ring, but missed Money in the Bank. Tiffany Stratton attacked Naomi from behind. Naomi was able to counter a body slam from Jax, but the champion kicked out. Stratton tried to interfere again, but Bayley took her out. Naomi hit a split-legged moonsault, and Jax barely kicked out. Candice LeRae then appeared to take out Bayley. Jax hit a Samoan drop from the second rope, dragged Naomi to the corner, and finally hit the Annihilator to retain her championship. Now, speaking of Bayley, she has a course to become the first ever WWE Women's United States Champion. The Women's United States Championship tournament is underway as of Friday's episode of SmackDown. Milwaukee experienced the first of several high-profile bracket matches as watched Bayley took the first victory towards crowning the inaugural champion. Bayley took on Candice LeRae and B-Fab in the show's first hour. All women fought valiantly, with both underdogs B-Fab and LeRae landing critical offense on the veteran Bayley and each other several times in the match. Milwaukee roared as LeRae cleverly shifted her weight, allowing her to perform a crossbody on Bayley mid-superplex attempt. Despite the challengers' feisty fighting, Bayley secured the victory after B-Fab threw LeRae out of the ring, allowing the role model to sweep her up into a roll-up pin for the victory. Bayley is the first person to progress to the semi-finals of the Women's United States Championship tournament. The bracket, which includes superstars such as Bianca Belair, Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, and Naomi, is set to progress on subsequent episodes of SmackDown. The finals will be held on the revived episode of Saturday night's main event, which will be hosted in Long Island on Long Island on December 14th. Interestingly, there are no female superstars from Raw announced for the Women's United States Championship tournament card, which would suggest we could be getting an equivalent championship, possibly a Women's Intercontinental Championship on the red brand, but we'll have to wait and see indeed when and if that does happen. Now, some health updates here when it comes to former WCW star Conan. Now, former WCW star and current AAA creative head Conan has been privately dealing with a significant health challenge as of late. The latest Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that Conan has been hospitalized for nearly a month with complications stemming from diverticulitis. Quote, Conan has been hospitalized at this point for the last 26 days after getting diverticulitis and then having other health issues stemming from it, the report said. He is hopeful to be home this weekend for the first time. The Observer claims that the situation was looking fairly dire at one point, but Conan surprised his doctors with a sudden turnaround. It's predicted that Conan will share more details about his recent setbacks when he returns to his podcast, K100, which he co-hosts with former WCW colleague Disco Inferno. Now, diverticulitis is characterized by an inflammation of the diverticula in the colon. Pockets can form along the intestinal wall, which can trap food, leading to discomfort, infection, and other problems. Since there are no superficial symptoms, the condition sometimes isn't diagnosed until a person experiences excruciating pain, which could become critical if left untreated. Of course, several wrestling stars have had to fight from underneath against diverticulitis. Kenny Omega was forced out of action for more than a year after being diagnosed in December of last year. Omega underwent surgery and is expected that his return could happen in January. Of course, the condition also forced former WWE champion Brock Lesnar to effectively end his MMA career. Lesnar recovered but never returned full-time to MMA in the UFC, opting instead to rejoin WWE. Now, Becky Lynch. When could we see Becky Lynch return to WWE? Well, Becky Lynch could be nearing a return to WWE after entering free agency earlier this year. The former WWE Women's Champion has been the subject of speculation for months since her last match on Raw back in May, failing to wrestle the Women's World Championship from Liv Morgan after dropping it just days before, as her contract expired at the dawn of June. It had been noted consistently in reports that she had opted to take time off at the end of her deal, and there was an expectation that if and when she'd be ready to return to the ring, it would be with WWE and not anywhere else. A PW Insider report has indicated that she is nearing that return following the announcement of her first public appearance in months at the 2024 Vulture Festival. The promotional material for her appearance reads, quote, "We'll look back on her legendary career from her early days starting on the road to being the first ever women's match to main event WrestleMania, and just maybe get a glimpse at what the man has in store for us next." Now, per the report, the last line is notable in that WWE and Netflix sources have claimed that Lynch is expected to be, quote, "back in the mix," end quotes, by the time Raw premieres on Netflix in January of 2025. It's unclear whether that means both parties have agreed to a deal yet, but it would seem that at least one is nearing a completion. Lynch was a number of high-profile WWE talents to have their contracts expire this year, with Lynch's husband Seth Rollins, Chad Gable, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre all sealing new deals, with the likes of Dijak, Baron Corbin, Ricochet, and others have entered free agency. And finally, the future of WWE may have been revealed in the latest batch of WWE Performance Center recruits. WWE has announced the latest group of Performance Center recruits, which includes the son of Evander Holyfield, Elijah, and more. Now, others include Lance Anoa'i, the latest member of the Anoa'i family to be signed to World Wrestling Entertainment. Karen Best, track and field, was at 2024 WWE SummerSlam tryouts. Camden Gagan, former defensive linesman, and was at WWE's 2024 SummerSlam tryouts. Bailey Humphrey, a gymnast, who was at the aforementioned SummerSlam tryouts. Darcy Khan, also at the tryouts. Chase Klein, a former football linebacker, was also at the recent SummerSlam tryouts. Kyle Klink, a former football linebacker. Serena Linton, a former WWE Next in Line NCAA All-American gymnast for the Arkansas and Arizona. Haley Montoya, women's volleyball for the University of Buffalo. And Artrilion Williams, played football for the University of Syracuse, was also at the SummerSlam tryouts as well. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe button right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.